some, get some. Can I get a hell yeah?
Hell yeah.
Yes, I am a pirate. You have to go with the pirates because, of course, they have cannons and everything. It's a pirate's life for me. Be proud of who you are and what you are. You're pirate. It is a first down. Pirate. Because when you're at East Carolina, you go for it every time. Or you don't coach at East Carolina, you don't come to East Carolina, you don't play at East Carolina with a weak heart. Write it. I think I've ever been in a building as loud as that was. It was deafening in there. You live with Omaha? I can promise you that. And it's purple all night long in Eastern North Carolina.
You're watching The Sports Objective, the podcast for Pirates.
Yeah. Heart is purple and gold. I'm a pirate down of my soul, and I don't back down not at all. Find out when the cannons explode.
All right, welcome into the Pirate Football Playback right here on the Sports Objective. And man, oh man, what a great night. It feels like it's still going on. The party is still going on because, ladies and gentlemen, Kyle from LaGrange Bob, how are you?
What's going on, guys? Great night in Greenville. What an, incredible night, really. Everything kind of played out the way I pictured it, which, doesn't happen very often. But I kind of said it'd be a back and forth game. I kind of said I did say it. And then I said we'd win it in dramatic fashion and the students would rush the field. And a lot of people didn't believe me that the students were going to rush the field because there was no number beside that Memphis name anymore. But 8-2 is 8-2. And last week they would have been in the top 25. And no, not that many people are questioning the rushing of the field, but the people that are, shut the hell up.
Shut up.
I was, and this, I love Kevin Monroe. I love him, and this is not directed to Kevin Monroe. Well, I guess this is technically going to be exactly directed to Kevin Monroe, but not the shut the hell up part. I was listening back to the radio broadcast last night because it's always fun to listen to and great call by the guys, but it bothered Kevin that they were rushing the field for Memphis, and I'm like, Kevin. Last week, you wouldn't have questioned it if they had a number beside their name. It just, to me, it didn't ruin the broadcast of the game, but it took away from it a little bit. I was just in kind of, who's our play-by-play guy? I can't never remember his name.
Jim Zoki.
Zoki basically said, Kevin, let's just have fun. So I think Zoki was kind of feeling the same way. I get Kevin as a former player. So I'd like to ask Matt. So I'm going to go ahead, Dave, and steal your thunder and introduce Matt because I want to segue right into a question to him. Then you can introduce everybody else. But, Matt, did it bother you at all being a former player, all your wins over Memphis, the students stormed the field? I think it's great. I think it was needed. I think that last night creates new Pirate fans, that kind of atmosphere, those students with their shirts off, those kids. Let me tell you something. Had this happened a week earlier, had we played Memphis, then Charlotte, last night you'd have had 40-some thousand people there, an entire student session of boys without shirts on and girls in sports bras. I guarantee you. If the Memphis-Charlotte games would have been in reverse. But, Matt, did it bother you at all? I'm assuming no, because Chase was on the field.
Not only did it not bother me, I loved it. I thought it was great. I thought it was sort of a needed thing for the students who
yes.
Haven't really had that kind of moment in Dowdy Ficklin. And, man, I loved every minute of it. And it wasn't even so much that it was Memphis. It was more of the fact that, ECU needed a moment. It was a big game. Correct. It was on live TV. And like I said, it wasn't so much that it was even Memphis. It was more about ECU. And, you'd have to be there to describe the energy in the stadium for that fourth quarter, but it was fantastic. And man, look, for the students, we have been pretty hard on the students in the last few weeks, but fairly because they had left early. And we sort of, I don't want to say call them out, but, we sort of took them to task last week about leaving so early. And man, not only did they respond, but they were amazing. I mean, I really think they had a big impact on that game in the fourth quarter. So look, man, you're only in college once. Have fun, have some drinks, storm the field, enjoy yourself. That's my feeling on it.
Yeah, I agree with everything you said 100%, Matt. There's not a thing that I wouldn't exactly say exactly like you did. It's Get it quickly, and then Dave introduced Stevie and Jr. But how did Chase end up on the? Because you sat in the you sat in the box, right? So how did Chase end up on the field so damn fast while the players were still on the field? Did he go down to the student section and take his shirt off, pretend like he was a student? How did that happen?
So we were club level on the north side, and
Yep.
as soon as you saw all the movement to that corner of the stadium when you saw, and you started to see the shirts come off and everything. Him and his buddy said, "We got to go. We want to go have fun." I'm like, "Go." I'm like, "Go enjoy yourself." So I think they hopped on the club level elevator and went down one level and just ran over there with the students, man. And they basically I guess they kind of look like they're in college.
They
They're
do.
close
Yeah,
enough
Chase is
to
a
that.
junior. Nobody would have questioned it. Chase is a big boy too. It ain't like he's a little scrawny kid. He's a D1 athlete.
Yeah, exactly. So they fit right in. And man, they had a great time. So I loved it. Like I said, I'm happy for the students, happy for the fans, happy for the team to have that kind of moment. And it was awesome.
Matt, did you go on the field? I too. I waited a few minutes and then I went on the field. I got a quick story. I'm sorry. I know we're going to do Shar and Stevie, but I got a quick story about me going on the field. So I sit in the handicap side on the ramp on the north side for those that don't know. And I was walking down the ramp, and I guess it was because of where the Memphis team was trying to get off the field. They had quit letting students go. They had quit letting students go on the field right there, and at that point. And so they were coming up the ramp on the handicap side, and we were walking down. And I said, "What are y'all doing?" They said, "They won't let us on the field anymore right here." So we're going up on the ramp. I said, "There's no exit on the other side of the ramp. You guys are going to have to jump over through the bushes." And so that's what they were all doing. And so I get down to the level where you're going to walk out the gate, and we want to go on the field, and security's standing there with John Gilbert. And I say, "Hey, look, I'm legally blind. If I go try to jump these bushes, then I'm a big boy." I said, "I'm gonna hurt myself." I said, "Can y'all just pretend like you don't see me and let me go on the field?" And the cop paused and said, "Y'all go ahead." And we walked past. I looked at John. "How you doing, John?" Shook his hand and kept walking. But Gilbert, I know Gilbert probably loves me, but I just thought it was hysterical that he was standing there. But that's all I got. I'll shut up now, Dave. Introduce the other guys.
Okay, all the way from the great state. No, I'm kidding. The great town of Lasker, North Carolina. He's a commissioner like I am. I'm in Williamston. He's in Lasker. I'm talking about Stevie Fly. What's up, brother?
What's up, guys? Great Saturday night to get that win, and just thankful Kyle didn't take his shirt off.
Stevie, go look on my video on Facebook.
I saw it. Yes.
Yeah, you think
No, you
let
don't
me
have
tell
to
you
say
something.
anything else.
My
You don't have
body is way better than that dude's. Holy crap!
I saw it.
Good for having some. Good for having. Go put that up there. Justin, I think you're friends with me on Facebook. Go look at my video I posted to my
Yeah.
story.
You can't miss it. You can't
Yeah,
miss
no,
it.
you won't miss the old boy. And props to him for having confidence and just having
Oh yeah,
fun.
definitely.
Yeah, but
He
good
did
Lord
very
Almighty,
well.
I look like Lex Luger in his prime compared to that old boy.
He could play some offensive line. He'd take up half the
No, he
line.
couldn't. No, he couldn't.
He would get in the way. He would get in the way, Kyle.
Yeah, he would. But
Yeah,
props to him, man. I love that confidence.
but yeah, just watching it from home, and I criticize ESPN a lot for their lack of preparation most times, and I know ESPN Plus is local, but last night the ESPN guys did a really good job. I was impressed with and they really took to the I guess what another show is calling the tarps off movement. They really took to that, and we're talking about the crowd, how much the crowd got into it. So I enjoyed it. I would have rather been there, but unfortunately work calls. But anyway, great win for ECU. Let's keep it going.
As we bring in a man that has multiple houses. I believe he's in Greenville, North Carolina tonight. I'm talking about Johnny Stats. Robert.
Where do you winter at, JR?
Hey, we've had this conversation before, and I don't want to. I'm not trying to embarrass you, Matt, but hey, both of my houses together would fit inside of Matt's house. I'm pretty sure. I'm not a wealthy guy. I just have 2 little houses in 2 places that I love. But I'm trying to.
It's all about quantity. It's all about quantity, JR, right?
yeah. So anyhow, I'm trending towards spending more and more time in Greenville. And hey, last night, fellas, that was large. I mean, that allows us to advance our dreaming a little bit further as the season goes. And so many good things happened on both sides of the ball. So many good stats I have. So, let's get to it.
No doubt. I tell you what an atmosphere last night. I was telling the story in our pregame. Literally, there was a kid that he plays on my son Alex's team. He's 6'4", 220, 8th grader. He's a football player, and he's been a Pirate all his life. And he got, I guess, last night was the first football game he'd ever went to. I gave my seats up, and that was his experience. He went on the field, and he actually found a bra. Somebody had thrown a bra. I don't know who that was.
I missed those. I missed the girls taking their shirts off. That would have been, that's a shame.
Yeah, but anyway, so
you
there
were
was
too busy looking at that guy, Kyle.
What size was the bra?
I don't know. I have no idea. All I know is that was his first experience. The kid is quiet as all could be. On the way home, he was talking like we woke him up from the dead. Like he had had a large time. His cousin was there, so they're going around the field. And for anybody that thinks that that's bad for the program, or I'm sorry, we beat Memphis, and it's not. Listen, and oh my God, they're tearing down the school.
Nobody tore down the goalposts. They were lowered.
And it's like, anyway, it's that.
Off subject a little bit. Did you guys see at the Colorado game the guy get trapped under the goalpost when they tore it down for 5 or 10 seconds? He got trapped.
No, who did Colorado beat?
Really?
I forgot who they beat, but yeah, they tore the goalpost down, and the guy got trapped under it. He was laying down there on the field, just squirming and hollering.
That would have been scary as crap.
Oh my God, I can't imagine.
I've never seen that happen before. So,
hey, I wanted to mention also, I'm not even sure what exactly he did, but Brett Oliverio from Sup Dogs, I know he had a scheme to get the students to stay. I don't. I'm pretty sure
he gave. You must not have heard the announcement. JR. He in the fourth quarter they announced it over the PA system. One student who stayed to the fourth quarter got awarded $1,000, and so that's that. He said one student got $1,000. They chose one student. I don't know which one it was. They said his name over the PA, and then also him and Blake got together. And I don't know what this was. Dave, do you know? All students there was
got a drink.
21 and over
got one drink. Okay.
Yeah. And Johnny,
I don't know if it was a bottle of Sup Crush vodka or a drink or what.
Johnny, I was thinking about you because if they gave every single 21 and over a Sup Crush for the amount they charge,
good God,
$17 a piece, I think they were. But hey, whatever it takes, because Matt, I was thinking about you with having Chase there. We have given the students a hard time for not staying. We've given them a hard time. I got to give them my props where props are due, because those students, when the guys took the shirts off and they're having the shirts like a towel up in the air, that changed. Even the players said that changed the momentum. It changed the dynamics of that game. And if you don't,
what it did, when we had tied it at 24 at that point, and the students took their shirts off and they started. One guy kind of started it, and then some other guys. Then they all kind of migrated together, and then the crowd was already loud, but at that point, everybody started noticing it, and everybody just started getting louder. And energy creates energy. Let me tell you something. Energy is a very real thing. Vibes are real things. You could feel, on one of our little videos we play on the scoreboard is I can feel this place, and it's every line and shadow. You can feel it. When there's energy in there, Phil Collins, I can feel it in the air tonight. You can feel it. And it's palpable. And it will impact the game. Would you have that kind of energy going on in a stadium? It is go back to the bowl game. It is very seldom that the team that the fans are producing that kind of energy don't win. And you can't jar it. You can't create it. It can't be manufactured. It has to be. I'm going to use an organic. I was about to say I'm going to use an overused word of the day, organic. And if you could create that every game, it'd be nearly impossible to lose in Grable. But the problem is, it can't be created. It has to be organic. It has to come from a real place. And when those students did that, and that stadium with 37 people in there last night, 37,000 people in there last night, was louder than many 50,000 seat East Carolina stadiums I've been in through the years. And that was kind of the point I was trying to make on the show and in conversations with our friend Bubba. People were getting hung up on having over 40-some thousand in there. Yeah, that's what we want. But, I said it wasn't going to be a small crowd. The key was for the people that are there to stay and be into it, particularly those students. And that was another level. That was, I can count. Unfortunately, I wasn't a Pirate yet for that Pitt game in '91, but you hear stories. The energy in 2014 against North Carolina, 2012 against Marshall, oddly enough, stands out in my brain as a game that had unusual energy where we won in overtime. There's a handful of other games. 2010 against NC State. You go back to the '90s, wins over West Virginia. Wins over, like I said, Pitt. You hear the stories. I weren't there. There are many moments in that stadium, but that last night, the energy in that stadium, I saw somebody say it's the best energy they've experienced since the '91 Pitt game. I don't know if that's true, but it is. I hadn't felt energy in that stadium like that in a long time. I'll say that in at least a decade.
Yeah, Kyle, just to kind of jump in on that and just take it even a step further, is that let's hope that game can be a turning point, for obviously for the football team, but for the fan base as well. Like we said, the students who, let's face it, like the last 10 years or so, I mean, we've had some pretty good teams. We've had some bowl level teams. Last year, obviously finished, in a great way up in the Military Bowl, but students have to experience that stuff to get a taste of it. And let's just hope now that they have moving forward that we can kind of build off of that next year and maintain that atmosphere, because it really was electric. And, I'll be honest, when I first got there, because I don't get to go to the games often or every week like you guys do. And I think I actually messaged you guys and I'm like, I'm like, is it always this? It was about 10 minutes before kickoff. And I'm saying, is it always this, slow? Is it always this, kind of empty like this?
Lately, yeah.
Yeah. And I was kind of taken back by it, to be honest, because like I said, I don't go every week and I just live too far away. But quickly, my attitude changed from, not worrying about who wasn't there, but more focused on who was there and the atmosphere. And
leave
again,
that up, Dave.
Credit to the students, man. I think they had a huge impact.
Yeah, that right there is a great example. The Houston Conference Championship game, probably 34,000 there that day. It was horrible weather, freezing cold. I think it was like 38 degrees and raining its ass off. I wore a rain suit to the game. And it was 34,000 people there for that conference championship game in Houston and against Houston, and the atmosphere was very similar to last night's atmosphere. There's a great example. That's probably the last time, because 2014 was a great atmosphere against UNC, but it was such a blowout. You never felt on edge. Last night, that 2009 game against Houston in the conference championship, that was probably the last time that stadium felt like that.
Yeah, Kenneth says, I'm happy if we have a raucous 35 to 40,000 over a milquetoast 55,000 in Chapel Hill.
Yeah, no doubt.
It was deafening, and the students and fans came together and rallied the team. And Blake Harrell, that's something we're going to talk about, Pays. Quickest to win 12 games in ECU history. So by the way, I want to put this up real quick again. Something Kyle has talked about. Let's give Blake Harrell, go ahead and give him, I know they gave him an automatic extension because we made bowl eligibility, but he definitely needs to be paid. And with all these coaches, we'll talk more about that, but we need to have Blake Harrell, let's solidify him and get him paid more than Mike Houston.
Hey, can I throw a Blake?
Go ahead, Jared.
I was going to throw a Blake, since you were talking about Blake. Here's another. He may have been the quickest to 10 wins, but we've been in the American. This is the 12th season that we've been a part of the American Conference. And before Blake arrived as the head coach, we were 27-56 in the American. That's 32.5%. Since Blake's been the head coach, we're 9-2, 82%. So we've won a total of 36 American games in 12 years, and Blake's won 9 of them, which is 25%. I mean, that is, to me, that says even more than the quickest to 12 wins.
Yeah, that's an incredible stat, JR. And to Dave's point, I don't know that we need to pay him more than we paid Houston, because Houston was making a lot, but we need to get his salary. You don't want to get in a situation because things can change. You don't want to get in a situation where you're like, 2 years from now, why did we do that so fast? But he does need a raise. He definitely needs a raise. Depending on how much interest there is, it's going to depend on how we finish the year. We finished the season, with 10 wins or more, kind of bowl games, potential conference championship games. I think he becomes a candidate for Power 5, Power 4 jobs. And that happens, then you really have to raise the salary if you're going to keep him. I don't know after 1 year or 1.5 years that he's going to be a candidate for a lot of Power 4 jobs. I hope not, but we definitely need to give him a raise. We also need to do what we can to retain Josh Aldridge and John David Baker. I think we have a bigger opportunity to lose those two. After this year, JDB, people were very critical of JDB at times this year, but as the season's gone on, his offense has really started flexing and looking like what we thought it would. The defense by Josh Aldridge has just been incredible, and I think he's going to be a really tough one to hang on to. But we need to do what we can, and we'll get into all that. We're going to break down the game itself more, but we'll get into all this. But there's players also. This becomes a really, how do you hang on? How do you hang on to Caden Hauser? That's going to be a problem. It's not just going to be coaches that we're going to have to pay. We're going to have to figure out a way to hang on to Caden, because he's going to have Power 4 offers out the wazoo, and there may be no hanging on to him. We're in a revenue sharing now, and he'll get a revenue sharing deal, a nice one, and I'm sure that somebody will sign him a true NIL deal, because that's still out there. They have to be cleared by clearinghouses, but somebody, I don't know, maybe Bill Clark Holmes, maybe he advertises for him. So you can come up with some money to keep Caden Hauser, but if a SEC program decides with their revenue sharing they're going to give him $1 million a year, I don't know how you hang on to him at that point. But one thing I'll tell Caden, I'll tell him this, for keeping him: you can make the NFL, where you make the real money, just as easy from Greenville as you can Knoxville, and I'm just using Knoxville as an example. So keep that in mind, and you'll be a legend here. You'll be just another guy at an SEC school. So that's one thing I'll tell Caden. But we're going to have to pay him. It ain't just coaches. We're going to have to pay Caden. We're not going to be able to match. And I'm just using Tennessee as an example. If Tennessee comes after him and offers him $1 million, we're not going to be able to match that. But can we give him 300,000 or 400,000? Can we give him 300,000 or 400,000? And with that 300,000 or 400,000 plus being loved and being able to be a legend and having somewhere to come back to for the rest of your life, be enough?
Well, here's where I'm coming from. We're going to have to and we're going to get to you in just a second, Matt, I promise. But I want to make this point. When we talk about all the time about, hey, this person gave $1 million gift, this person gave $1 million gift. Okay, it was great to see the indoor practice facility, but that's the kind of numbers that we're going to need to be going forward, because if we don't, then we will lose the players. And you saw what happens in 2023 when you don't have a quarterback. So the quarterback is extremely important, and I don't care what it takes to keep Hauser. We're gonna have to really pony up, and we're gonna have to say, are we really a fan base that cares about winning? If you don't care about winning and you're casual, so be it. But if you really want to be at the point we are like right now, and we're fighting now for conference championships, and we have an outside chance to get to a conference championship and a really small chance to make the playoff, but at least we're there, and we're going to have to come up with that. If we don't, then we're just going to have to accept mediocrity. So,
we'll circle back around to that and discuss that more. But I agree with what you're saying, David. We're going to have to. There has to be some realistic, some realism there. We're never going to be able to match Tennessee's money, for example. But anyway, let's break down the game, and then we'll circle back around to that. So let's start with Matt. Matt, the game last night, started off. Pirates, started well. We scored first. It was back and forth all night.
Yeah, it sure was. It was back and forth. And, we made the decision to receive the ball, which, I actually kind of liked that decision last night. I know a lot of people prefer to defer to the second half, but I like the idea of receiving the ball just to kind of, what I wanted to do was get ahead and try to play with a lead against Memphis. We didn't get points in our first possession, but we did get a stop. Either way, we took the lead 7-0. So I thought that was big. Now, a little up and down early. I think some of we had a lot of false start penalties that got us behind the sticks, but we were able to respond and get first downs. There were several times where we, got way behind. I think we had like 2nd and 15 or 1st and 15, and we were able to convert first down. So, a little up and down early. I'm going to say I thought the officiating last night, and I hate to talk about officiating, but I thought the officiating was horrendous. If you go back and watch that game, it was truly bizarre, guys. Like on Memphis's first possession, there were 2 blatant holding calls right in front of the official that were missed that would have, pushed them back. You saw Brock Spalding get mugged. I mean, absolutely mugged several times, not once, not twice, 3 times with no call. So I thought the officiating made it very challenging for us, and a little up and down early. But I thought the biggest turning point of the game, I thought, was when Memphis had the ball coming out of the second half. We had to get a stop there, and we got a little help. They had a drop, but we were able to get a stop and get the ball back. So that was a key point in the game.
Yeah, and a bigger point than that, Matt, was after we got that stop, we came down and answered, tied the ball game up.
Exactly. That's exactly right. So that was a huge point in the game.
Yeah, I love how. I'm sorry, Matt.
Talking about the referees, I mean, I'm like you, Matt. I don't like to talk about, to try to blame anything on referees, but I mean, there was several pass interference calls that could have been made, and one that was made on us that was kind of BS to me.
Yeah, Brock Lesnar got molested several times last night.
Brock Lesnar, Brock Spalding.
Perhaps Brock Lesnar, but I meant Brock Spalding.
I know what you meant. But, there was a couple plays, like right there in front of the referee. I know illegal hands to the face. When you put your hand in a guy's face mask and push back, that's a penalty. And apparently not this referee crew. I think these refs kind of got intimidated by the crowd a little bit about halfway through the third quarter and actually started calling penalties on Memphis and kind of laid back on us. But, yeah, you're right. I'm glad somebody else said it, because I told Kyle the same thing, and I'm not even sure about this roughing the passer on Craig early in that game.
That was a bad call.
I mean, it was like a second the guy released it, and he hit him then. I mean, there was just several calls I could go through that I didn't agree with or wasn't called.
There was several times on Brock Spalding, particularly going over the middle to him,
yes,
where they got to him early and it wasn't called. I mean, it was, Dave is the worst for calling out officials, and I last night I sounded like Dave. I was calling out officials left and right because it was obvious, to the point of, you don't want to look at conspiracies. You hate to go that route, but you do have to wonder, Memphis certainly isn't any more in position to try to make a playoff, but, them winning and being a fringe top 25 team helps the Tulane, helps the South Florida make the playoffs. So I don't know if they're being instructed by the conference to, hey, let's make sure the teams that are winning keep winning. If that's the case, now that we beat them, you think maybe when we go to San Antonio next weekend, then maybe they'll be helping us. But you do have to wonder that. And then FedEx has a lot of money.
Yeah.
Hey, Dave, I saw that. Dave, if you can, put Justin Butt's last comment up there. Justin Butts is a referee, and for him to say
Yeah,
bad,
I was trying to hold on one.
yeah.
The
Yeah,
comments coming in so fast.
While you're doing that, Dave, I
Go ahead, JR. Nobody's talking.
Go ahead, JR.
I was just going to say, I was thinking this is Tulane all over again because it's talking about DPIs that weren't called. They let Tulane play some very sticky defense, and it affected the game. I'm convinced we would have won that game had they made the proper calls. And the same thing was happening in the first half, like you said, Stevie, not so much in the second half with Memphis. And I was like, they can't do this to us again. And we won anyhow, so it doesn't matter. But yeah, we were definitely not getting calls we should have in the first half there.
Well,
no doubt, guys. Like I've seen people mugged on the streets of New York City for less than Brock Spalding. Look, he was getting mugged. I mean, you got to be kidding me. And like, look, I don't think I've called out the refs all year in any game, but like, I actually think that Gilbert should send that film into the league. I think it should be reviewed because it was that blatant. And some of the holds were egregious. Go to Memphis's very first possession of the game. I think it's like the third play. Josiah Robinson, number 8, our defensive end. He comes off the edge. All right. He literally gets grabbed and thrown down to the ground by his jersey. And the quarterback then gets outside the pocket and completes the pass for about 15 yards. So like, it was just bad. It was really bad. I loved what we did by putting on the scoreboard. I think it was like late in the third quarter, and we kept putting up on the scoreboard. Memphis still has 0 penalties tonight.
Before the late third quarter. It was earlier than that in the game.
Yeah, like I can't remember verbatim what they put up there, but they were right. They were right to do that because it was ridiculous. And I don't know how I give Blake credit because I would have been going crazy on the officials last night. So I don't want to belabor the point too much, but I'll tell you, I thought Memphis got a lot of help last night. And I don't mind throwing flags. Like I don't mind letting players play. The key is to call it both ways. That is the key.
Consistency is
Right.
what it is.
So not to kill the point, but like you got to call it both ways, and they didn't do that last night.
I do wonder if these officials are being instructed by the league that the teams that are in position for the playoff or fringe top 25 teams, because Memphis obviously is not in position for the playoff anymore, but the more they win, the more it helps Tulane, South Florida, because they played them. They beat South Florida, Tulane beat them. So I do wonder if, for those teams like South Florida, Tulane, Memphis, if the conference is instructing, hey, don't cheat, but let's,
let it go.
Yeah, let it go. If flags are, I don't know. But if that's the case, we're getting votes in both top 25 polls now, and we've eliminated Memphis completely from conference championship consideration. So, like I say, we'll see if we start getting the calls go our way down in San Antonio. We'll find out.
Guys, I did want to mention that I was calling the game, and you guys I know you'll say, oh my God, it's typical Dave, but I'm calling the game on Friday night, Stevie, and the refs actually threw a guy out. I still don't know on Friday night for Martin County High School. And I said on the air, and I don't care if people like it or they don't, I said, if you're a referee and you have thin skin, you're in the wrong business. You need to be focused on the game. They were missing holding, just you name it. Actually, I take that back. They were calling so many penalties, but they did call them on both teams. But they were, it was just unbelievable. So then fast forward to last night, one of my buddies who's also the chain gang for Martin County also is now the chain gang for East Carolina graduate. He said when Memphis got that first penalty, one of the ladies for the team, young ladies for the team said, wait a minute, we never get penalties called on us. And I was, okay, and I'm not a conspiracy, but Kyle can tell you I'm not a conspiracy guy, but it just makes you wonder, like you said, Kyle, I wanted to add it to your point, and Matt, all you guys, it just makes you wonder when you hear a comment like that, we never get penalties called on us. And I thought it was funny. I think Brandon Forbush put up there, I love the WWE when they had the ref you suck, and all of a sudden after that, that's when they got their first penalty. Do you guys remember that? It was ref you suck.
Yeah.
That was chanted earlier. It just got louder at that
Oh,
point.
okay.
That's when everything was getting loud.
JR, what was the final count on the penalties last night? I know, they got some called on them late, Memphis, that is. And there was one that was declined. I think it was a PI called on a touchdown pass.
Alden pass.
Yeah, I could look it up. I mean, I know that it seemed like we played pretty smart, but we had a lot of penalties against us because we weren't getting the calls. But let me see what it is here, Kyle. I know we had like 89 yards. I think it was 8 for 69 or something like that.
Yeah, some of those are false starts, which that is what it is. But I think it was more so the penalties not called on Memphis versus the ones called on us. Although there was a couple called on us that were very questionable.
Yeah, and by the way, Matt, you were talking about. To me, there was a ton of pass interference calls that were not called, and I think that they know. And I will say this: we talked about this about defensive coaches, and Stevie helped me out, and Matt. But they literally are taught. I think our guys are way faster than what people expect because it's one of the fastest teams we've ever had. And they're getting beat so much, they're just telling them, hey, mug them because the most you're going to get is 15 yards, and they might not even call it. I mean, I don't care if teams are physical, but, that was just so many were missed last night. Pass interference for me, that I don't know about you guys.
Yeah, it was 8 for 72 was the final penalty count. And that's coming off of 1 for 15 last week. And that 15, as we discussed, was a dead ball, celebration penalty. So really, we were penalty free last week.
And what was Memphis? What did Memphis have called on them?
5 for 55.
5 for 55. Okay. So it sounds evener than it was, but how many of those came late in the game, of course?
They were.
All 5 of those came after the third quarter. I mean,
How about that? First home game since 2015. What a game. I'm telling you guys, there's a lot of people that we're going to see come back. And Matt, we were talking about the fact that these people are getting a great experience. What you have to think about, I was thinking about this on the end of the week. This is entertainment dollars. Okay. I don't go to the movies as much as I want to anymore because it's so expensive. I would rather go to a sporting event like East Carolina. That's where I spend most of my entertainment dollars. And you can say what you want to, it's a show. And I felt like Kyle said, it was something that we could have never had choreographed ourselves to have the guys in the third quarter do what they did and the crowd to be loud the whole time. How about that?
No, you can do things. You can do things. We do some things like the fireworks. I thought Holton, by the way, was the first person.
Yeah.
Rajay did an okay job game 1 with the purple gold chant, but Holton was he was awesome at that. Let Holton do give Holton the mic, let him be an MC, let him fire up the crowd throughout the game. So there is some things you can do to fire up the crowd, but you're right. It has to be organic. And two, to your point about it being entertainment dollars, to me, it's not entertainment dollars, it's a passion. But to a lot of people, that's exactly what it is. It's entertainment dollars. And, I would say keep those $12 and $25 tickets until we start selling that place out again. Let people use it as entertainment dollars. You can't go to the movies hardly for $12 a ticket now.
Exactly.
And I guarantee you last night, and I tried to get some friends of mine to go, and I really regret that I didn't push them to go. You can't make anybody go. But last night, they would have been hooked. Anybody that was in that stadium last night, unless you were a Memphis fan, if that was your first time there, you're hooked. You are friggin' hooked. Unfortunately, that's not like what it's like every game. But if that was your first time there, it is, because that's all you know.
How about from a recruit's perspective, fellas, right? I mean,
oh, God.
We had tons of recruits on the field last night for that game. And, if you're there for that, let's say you're maybe on the fence, JR and Stevie, and you're maybe torn between ECU, and I'm just throwing this out there as an example, like South Florida, right? I mean, you just made your decision last night. And, you combine that atmosphere, and then you just look at the product on the field. I mean, you saw players making tremendous plays. I mean, let's just talk about Brock Spalding's one-handed catch on that deep ball. I mean, that's as good of a.
Hey,
Matt, we can't hear you.
Talk to Matt. Hey, Stevie, was that as good as David Tyree's catch against the helmet?
Matt, I don't know if your mic, if your mic's messing up, or if you need to leave and come back, but we can't hear you anymore. But that was an incredible catch by Brock, and then you look at the game-winning touchdown by
Peyton
Peyton Mangrum. Thank you, and he wouldn't have been in the game, and certainly I hope that Yannick Smith is
He's okay.
good to go for UTSA because we're going to need him. But Mangrum wouldn't have been in the game had Yannick been healthy.
And did you hear the press conference?
Yes, I did. It's just one of those things that, again, you can't script it. I mean, you can't script it. It reminded me of going back, 2010 against NC State. I can't remember who our starting safety was, but he was suspended. And Damon Magazoo started that game instead, and he was in there to pick off NC State in the end zone. It reminded me of that. Mags wouldn't have been playing that play had that guy not been suspended. And last night, Peyton Mangrum wouldn't have been there had Yannick not got hurt. And it's just funny how things like that happen.
Well, you saw the.
But Mangrum, he's been playing really well.
Mangrum, yeah, he has, but he hadn't had that many catches. And
okay, I'm sorry. I thought Dave. I stopped talking because I thought Dave wanted to say something. But Mangrum, after the Army game, Mangrum did not get any snaps, and I called Pirate Radio Live, and I said it on our show as well. Mangrum got 0 snaps tonight, but I guarantee you, before the season's over, he's going to do something to put us in a position to win a game, because he just is all effort all the time, whether he's on special teams, right, whether he's running routes. He's got great hands. I mean, I just knew if he had the opportunity, he was going to come through. And he had a couple catches that were great. So, in the future, he only played 5 snaps, had 2 catches, all of them out of the slot. So, Brock's been playing the slot most of the time recently. So, between the two of them, I guess, we're in pretty good shape.
Yeah, JR, I think you're getting some lag.
Yeah, I wanted
to go ahead, Dave.
I was just going to add really fast. How about this, Matt? You're going to love this as a former player. Matt talks about this all the time. Here's a kid in Mangrum. I'm going to give him his flowers really quick, and then I'm going to pass it to you guys to add. So here's what happened. This is a kid who he talked about in the press conference last night, who all his family went to the University of South Carolina. He gets his degree as a Gamecock, right? And he goes, you know what? I haven't got what I deserved. I really want to go to another school. I have my degree now from South Carolina, and I want to be selfish now, basically, and, get some playing time. He comes here, and things haven't been, he said it, things haven't been the way he wanted. But guess what? Matt talks about this all the time. Instead of putting his name again in the transfer portal or
he's out of eligibility.
I know, but I'm just saying, or quitting the team and not playing football anywhere and saying the heck with it. He stuck it out. He said things were not going, but he kept going every single day to practice. He's been giving it everything he has on special teams. He's second string as a wide receiver. And he talked about, this was interesting. He talked about they ran that same play in practice on Thursday, and 48 hours later, he catches the ball the same exact way. And to have that happen for him on senior day, his very last game at Dowdy-Ficklin.
Maybe.
Maybe that's true. That would be cool if we could get another one. But Zion Wilson's another guy, as Blake, who was a walk-on, and look how great he did get Stevie.
Gosh, I mean, all night long, Zion Wilson was disrupting plays, getting pressure on the quarterback. There was a couple of hits he put, and I'm going to say this: Lewis, the Memphis quarterback, tough as nails. I mean, he's already coming there banged up, and he took several shots. Zion put one on him when he scrambled up the middle, and Zion come from the side and hit him. And I was like, he cannot get back in this game. And he got right back up. But, man, Zion was just a beast on that defensive line yesterday. I mean, that – and another thing about the defense, that big 4th down stop, near the end of the game on that 4th and 1.
Yeah.
Huge play.
That was Aiden Duncanson and Josh Benton. Those two that don't play a whole lot. They don't play a lot at all, and they came up with one of the biggest plays of the night for sure.
It was a huge play, and I'm sorry, Matt. I'll shut up and then let you talk. I'll shut up and then let you talk. That makes no sense. But
Kyle, you shut your mouth when you talk to me.
I'll try to. I'm a ventriloquist. Yeah, that play right before, unfortunately, right after that is when Hauser had the fumble, but turned out not to hurt us. He managed to have a big touchdown pass. But Matt, go ahead. You were saying something before your mic cut out early, and you had to leave and come back.
Talk about Spalding.
We're having a pretty bad lightning storm up here. I think my Wi-Fi might have cut out for a second, but yeah, I mean, I'll just finish that really quick. I thought Spalding. I mean, some of the plays he made were tremendous. Look, you talk about a guy that came out of nowhere this season. I mean, he's been great for us. But just to go back for a second to Zion Wilson that you guys just brought up, he was tremendous last night. He really was. And a lot of times, we played a lot of 3-man front last night and dropped 8 more than we normally do. And I think that was number one, we didn't want to give up any deep shots, right? We were a little worried about giving up deep shots. So we dropped 8 a lot. And I think the goal also was to keep the quarterback in front of us and to try to run to the ball and prevent him from beating us with his legs. And Zion was able to make plays in a 3-man front, and that's hard to do. So he definitely deserves props there, for sure. And, I think that they also capitalized a little bit on that 3-man front because they hurt us bad on outside zone. I'm sure you guys, their long touchdown run was it was straight outside zone, and they just had us outmanned a little bit. And so, you got to pick your poison as a defensive coordinator. And, we tried to do the best we could. But really, when you look at that game, I don't think they hit on any deep balls. They hurt us bad on the outside zone. And then the biggest thing was when we would have everything covered up downfield and Lewis, he sees a hole and he's able to take off and improvise with his legs. And they hurt us pretty bad there quite a few times. And that's tough to defend when you have a running quarterback like that. But all in all, I thought it was an interesting philosophy by the defense. And I thought it worked. I thought at the end of the day, you were able to do enough to win the game. And I think that's all you can do.
A couple points from what you said. A couple things popped in my head. One about Lewis, their quarterback. They were 8-2 football team. Both games they lost. They didn't have Lewis for UAB. He went out in the first quarter. They would have destroyed UAB otherwise. And then the other one, they lost to Tulane. They didn't have him for much of that game. We're the first team to beat them with Lewis playing all 4 quarters.
That's right.
Another thing, Nick Mazie was a hero in that game last night for 2 reasons. One, he hit a nice 49-yard field goal.
Yeah.
Do you guys know the other reason he was a hero last night besides the extra points? Nope, there's another reason, and it just occurred to me. Had we not had Nick Mazie, we would not have attempted that touchdown pass late in the game because we would have been sitting up a short field goal. But because we had confidence in Nick Mazie to make it from a distance, we had the confidence to let Hauser take that shot because we didn't need to inch our way to get a 30, to get a field goal under 40 yards. We had full confidence in him hitting one from 40 plus. So we felt comfortable taking a shot at the end zone. I guarantee you don't have Nick Mazie, we don't take that shot.
Yeah, he's made 10 for his last 10 attempts. Like he's 10 for 10. After the first 5 games, I was a little concerned because he hadn't attempted a field goal longer than 36 yards. So I didn't really know what his range was, but and this 10 for 10 streak, he's got, a 46, a 46, a 40, a 50, and a 49. So we know what we have now, and it's a luxury to have a kicker like that. The last kicker to make 10 in a row was Owen Daffer in 21, and I think the last kick he made was that Navy 54-yard game winner.
Yeah. He's made up for the season, and JR. Yeah, did you see for the season he's 12 of 14?
Yeah, so, I know. He's made 10 in a row, which
so
he started out 2 and 4 with no long field goals whatsoever, and now he's 10 for 10 with several long field goals. So I think everyone feels better about Nick Mazie than maybe we did after week 5.
No, definitely. And do you guys agree with my thought there? Do you think had we not had a kicker we trusted that we would have taken that shot there? Because in the past, I've seen Houston and Blake both in those situations kind of play for field goals to try to tie it.
Yeah, and I
Yeah.
also think that I like Blake's mentality too, guys. I do agree with that, Kyle. And I would also add that Mike Houston was also so conservative. We did have issues with the field goal kickers in the last few years versus this year for sure. But now you're right about being confident. But I also think that Blake is being way more aggressive, which is surprising, being he's a defensive coach.
That is a great point. And I'm glad you guys both. First of all, Kyle, you make a great point, and I agree with you. He gives you that ability to take those shots. And then Dave, you mentioned Mike Houston. Mike Houston would have played. He would have tried to set up for a field goal last night. He would not have taken that shot to the end zone.
Yep.
I guarantee it. We saw it so many times with him.
Tell Carmelo I said hey.
You guys hear the dog, and my dog gets loud. He snores a lot. I can't do anything about it. But so I love that. I love the fact that they took a shot because, you had enough time to win that game. You didn't have to play for a field goal, right? And they did it. And I just think, like, when you look at the last 3 minutes, I liked everything we did from a clock management perspective. I loved how we used our timeouts on defense. I thought that was very smart because now with the 2-minute timeout, it changes everything, right? It gives you that. It's almost like having an extra timeout in your pocket. And I see every week on TV as I'm watching college football, coaches, they want to save those timeouts. They want to save them. And they hold on to them too long until there's like 20 seconds left and they have 80 yards to go and they can't do anything. So to use those on defense, I thought was critical. And I think when we got the ball back, you guys correct me if I'm wrong, I want to say there was about 2 minutes and 30 seconds left. Am I right about that?
2:39. Yeah, that's correct,
Yeah.
Matt.
So 2:39, and now you have one timeout and you have the 2-minute warning. And so it was beautiful. You couldn't have scripted it any better, in my opinion. What do you guys think about that? Just how we use the timeouts?
No, I thought we did it. I thought we used it very well. I thought it was good clock management. That's what I kept saying. I looked over. I think Jessica was a little worried about time. I was like, but we got the whole field. We can run the ball. It's like there's plenty of time left. No need to rush. No need to do anything. No, we use timeouts perfectly. And I like another thing. I like, you go back to the Military Bowl where Blake wanted Rajay to take a knee and try to win it on the field goal. Don't worry about you. Let your defense do their job, and he has more confidence in the defense this year than he did last year. But instead of playing for a field goal or trying to score at the very end, just score and let your defense do their thing. I love the way everything was handled last night.
Yeah, and by the way, guys, I wanted to throw this out to you. It was brought up in the press box about the time management and about Hail Marys and how we'd won on a Hail Mary and Lincoln Riley's last year we lose on a Hail Mary. So that was brought up, and but it came down to exactly, Matt, agree with you 1,000%. Time management was another thing that Mike Houston couldn't do well. So, and we're beyond that because we have a new coach. But the fact that we can handle our business, and that speaks a lot, by the way, guys, when we have a close game like we had last night, that you have confidence in the coaches that they're going to give us, right, Johnny?
Yeah. Hey, so going back to Matt saying the last few minutes, very important. The defense was just incredibly well positioned. They executed perfectly. Here's a couple of defensive stats. Number one, this is the first time that Memphis did not score in the first quarter all season. They've been scoring a lot in the first quarter. And last night they had nothing in the first quarter. And this stat sounds like I'm making it up. And I triple checked it. It's absolutely accurate. Okay, before those last two drives of Memphis's, when they got down in the red zone, Memphis was 42 of 43 in red zone possessions. That means they scored 42 times when they were in the red zone, 43 times, and 35 of them were touchdowns. So they were scoring an average of 6.2 points every time they entered the red zone. And in those final two possessions, they scored 3 points in 2 possessions. You know, we when Aiden Duncanson and Josh Benton stopped that 4th and 1 at the 17, they didn't get any points. And then they had the field goal after, great play by Tegan Wilk to turn a 2nd and 8 into 3rd and 10 when he got the 2-yard tackle for loss. So the defense just really, they gave up some yards, but they turned it up when they had to. And that just was a monumental effort last night by them. But I think, people don't realize how efficient Memphis is in the red zone.
Yeah, no, they're really good in the red zone, and our defense is really good in the red zone too. Our red zone defense is spectacular, and when Hauser fumbled that ball, guys, Matt, I never felt like, well, this is it. This is the ball game. They're going to hold on to it, put 7 on the board, and we're going to be left with very little time to get back downfield. I had full confidence that we would hold them to a field goal try. I really did, and I can't tell you the last ECU defense I would have felt that way about.
It's a really good point. I mean, you take a look at that play when Hauser fumbled. They brought edge pressure off both sides. I mean, he had, from the second the snap came out and hit his hands, there was pressure coming. And for whatever reason, we just didn't block it up well. And he stepped up into the pocket because he felt that pressure. And then they had somebody come free up the middle, and he got hit pretty hard, and he put it on the ground. And, tough break there. I mean, it was definitely deflating. But to your point, like, Kyle, you do feel like this is a defense that can get stops. And when you have a quarterback like Hauser, you feel like you have a chance. And that's you got to give credit. I mean, you think about how far this team has come in a year to be able to pull out a game like that. We couldn't even fathom that a year ago. When you go back and let's go back to a Charlotte game or Army game a year ago, a little over a year ago, so just a tremendous win. And Stevie, I wanted to ask you, as a coach, how did you? I love the way we set up the final play on defense. We had 4 across the goal line. All right, we brought in Mike Wright. So basically, we kept everything in front of us, unlike the UCF game. 12 years ago.
Always, yeah.
What did you think of that, Stevie? How we were lined up there?
Yeah, it was, watching it, especially not just seeing it on ESPN, but later seeing some of the crowd shots from it, the way they had the secondary set up. Because I think there was like a row of I guess they call it kind of like a picket fence defense. They had like a row of 4 sitting back there at about the 5-yard line with Mike Wright. I loved it. I thought, it was definitely preventing a touchdown. Nothing should get behind you when you had the defense set up like that. It was a great setup. And speaking of Mike Wright, man, what can't Mike Wright do? I mean, plays defense, offense, quarterback, and now punts, 53-yard punt. So what do we got to do next?
He's the second leading punter in Pirate history right now. And the great Andrew Bays is 48.1. He had a season where he averaged 48.1 yards a punt. Mike Wright, 46.5, right behind him.
That's incredible. That dude.
There you go. They're number 1 and 2.
His nickname is now Swiss Army Knife.
Yeah.
Or multi-tool. I don't know. He can do it all. And one thing I'll say to Mike, he picked it off, so it was all right. But lots of times, those situations when you go for interceptions instead of trying to bat the ball down like a volleyball player, and I'm sure he'll be coached this, that is a good way to miss that interception and have the ball go behind you for a touchdown. So in the future, I would say bat that ball down. But good job picking it off and securing it. But had you missed that, boy, oh boy, think about Rice 2006, if you remember that game.
That was was it Pierre Parker who didn't knock it down instead of, it was one of those.
He went for the pick, and so that's how you get beat. So I would, and Matt, I don't know if you agree with that or not, but I would coach him next time, bat that ball down. But good job picking it off. Something I wanted to bring up, and Matt, I don't know. First, Matt, answer me if you agree on that when I'm done with the second point. Why did they review that touchdown pass last night? There wasn't a damn thing to review on that touchdown pass.
But
And
Mangum,
had they overturned it, those referees might not have made it out of Greenville alive.
Hey,
No,
they
they wouldn't have.
And my fear was, are they trying to ice our friggin' kicker? Are they trying to ice our kicker? Because had we not went up by 4 and it been a 3-point game,
Yeah.
that would have been a totally different situation when Memphis got the ball back.
mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, they definitely took their time with that a little too much. It was almost like they couldn't believe he caught it.
Yeah.
You know, like trust your eyes as an official. I mean, he clearly caught it. There didn't seem to be. It really wasn't even close, in my opinion.
No,
I don't
it
have.
wasn't.
I don't have a problem with taking a quick look at it, but like, don't take 5 minutes.
Well, I think they
So,
were
yeah.
conspiracy. Sorry, Matt. I was just going to add to what you were saying. I think what it comes down to, I'm sorry, guys, this is the one conspiracy I do believe in college football. They review a whole, and Stevie, I know how much you love NFL like me, but I don't think that the NFL looks at as many plays as college football because I think they're trying to sell ads. That's the only thing I could come up with last night. I was looking at it in the press box over and over and over again. They were showing that replay.
They didn't go on commercial for that during that replay. So I looking back at the replay of the game, I don't think they did, but I don't know. But
No, they
I was
didn't.
scared it was going to ice our kicker.
Oh, okay.
And thankfully, Maisie made the PAT, but man, that would have been a completely different situation. I don't think it needs to be looked at. And to this, to the review crew, I'll say this: every conference should do it like the ACC does. And God forbid, beyond me to give the ACC props,
I
but
agree with you, Kyle.
if you guys watch the ACC games, their reviews are shown on camera. The crew, the ACC crew back in the studios, the refs there in the house.
Yep.
You see their full communications with each other on camera, complete transparency, and they have the fastest reviews of any league because of that. Oddly enough, I would love to see the American go to that. I would love to see every conference go to that because then you don't leave any room for conspiracies.
You know where they got that from?
Was that NHL, Stevie?
No, the XFL.
Really?
XFL. You heard
Oh,
the
yeah, you're
replay
right.
guys
Yeah.
looking over it the whole time. You heard their conversation and everything.
I love that about the
Yeah,
ACC.
that was one thing about the XFL or the whatever the other one was that combined with them. That was
USFL.
one of the.
Stevie,
Yeah,
was that the time He Hate Me was in that controversial play?
No, this was the
the
no.
what evolved into the UFL now, the new XFL.
Yeah, it's the recent version of it. And they do it now. But talking about the review of that why it took so long, and I know Kenny's talking about they review all scoring TDs. They do that, but the only thing
they don't stop play and delay our kicker from making an extra point by 5 minutes.
The only thing I can see with that play was when he hit the ground. They were trying to see if the ball hit the ground, which it didn't. After you watch it the first time,
yeah, my legally blind ass watching it with my binoculars on the scoreboard could tell it live.
Because I was like, after I saw the replay the first time, I was like, when they said they're reviewing, I said, God, if that ball hit the ground, please say it didn't hit the ground. Now, I mean, after the first time watching it, you could tell it didn't hit the ground. Why it took that long, I don't know. Like you said, it shouldn't have took that long to review that play.
And again, you got a kicker just standing there, and it's a pressure kick. And, I don't know if that was on anybody else's mind. Was I the only one thinking they better not ice our kicker?
I was saying, I said it's the most important extra point all year. I did say that.
Yeah.
Waiting.
That changed everything on how Memphis went down the field and their whole game plan on getting down the field. Now, because I mean, if it's 30-27, all you got to do is get in field goal range.
Exactly. JR, are there any more stats that we are missing?
Yeah, well, offense. I talked about the defense a little bit. The offense, Caton, I'm not going to even go over Caton because he's amazing every week, in my opinion. Did you hear that, Kenny Curlings? I visited Kenny's tailgate on Saturday. Bubba and I did, and man, I'm telling you that Kenny does it first class. Like he's got the best tailgating setup that I think I've seen. So I enjoyed it, Kenny. Thanks for having us. It was awesome. But yeah, Kenny was a little bit upset. He thought we were slighting Caton last week, and there's certainly no reason to do so because he's amazing every week. But on the offense, I would say this: if you take, you can take 7 games that Memphis played against Georgia State, Troy, Arkansas, Tulane, Tulsa, South Florida, and Rice. All those 7 teams together scored 20 points in the second half against Memphis. Memphis shuts people down in the second half.
Combined.
We scored 21.
Combined.
We scored 21. They had never given up that many points. The most they had ever given up was 14. And that was due largely to the fact that they weren't generating any offense that game because they didn't have Lewis. So I thought that was a great testament to our offense. So they were averaging 5.1 points a game per second half, and we scored 21. And then the other offensive, it's not really a stat. Well, I guess it is. I can make it a stat. Is London Montgomery. We've been talking about, hey, let's just find one guy. We've had 4 guys. One game we had 5 guys. The last 2 games, Temple and Charlotte, we've had 4 backs. Against Temple, we had 4 backs with 8 carries each. And then against Charlotte, we had 4 backs with at least 5 carries each. Not last night. We had two guys that were running the ball. Marlon Gunn had 5 carries. And London had 27, and nothing spectacular. He did have one 23-yard run, but he was just strong. Like he was helping us every time he touched the ball. He was doing good things. He scored 2 touchdowns, so now that's 5 games in a row. He scored a touchdown. 4 games in a row he scored a touchdown, but we're 5-0 when he has scored a touchdown. If he scores, we win. We're 5-0. And then the other thing is even 27 carries. I mean, that sounds like a lot, and it is a lot. But like by comparison, Rajay never had 27 carries. So he was a workhorse last night. And I just wanted to give him some credit.
Do you know why? And I can tell you why without asking the coaches. Why London Montgomery got so many carries and why Gunn got the carries and we didn't give the ball to Engelman or the young man from Houston who I can never remember his name.
Parker Jenkins.
Yeah, I can tell you why. Memphis, every game they've won, they've forced at least 1 turnover. They hadn't won a game under their current defense coordinator without forcing a turnover. That's their thing, is forcing fumbles. So we wanted to make sure we had the most four-handed guys carrying the ball. I can guarantee you that was the case without asking.
You're right about that, Kyle. Great point.
It is a great point. And, just you look at London last night, really just like a workman-like performance where, a lot of those carries he was getting, 4 yards, even like 3 yards. But those were tough yards. Memphis's linebackers, man, they have some thumpers. I mean, they have some dudes that can fly, they can run, and they will hit you. And some bigger linebackers too, kind of like old school guys. They look like they're about 240 pounds, some of them. So they had some thumpers. So I thought he had some tough yards in between the tackles, and he protected the ball. And I thought just a really good performance by him. I thought JDB did some really good things. I think Memphis was really worried about Anthony Smith over the top beating them. So they sagged off him a little bit, and we took what they gave us. I mean, several times we hit Anthony Smith on a little comeback or a little, like an out. On the final drive, I think he had a critical.
He did.
Probably 15. I'm guessing it was like a 15-yard gain on just like, I think it was a little comeback route down the sideline. So we took what they gave us. And, the thing is, like with this offense, and sometimes it drives me nuts, but it didn't. We won last night, so I'm not going to complain about anything. But we will stick with that run no matter what. We will stick with that run ad nauseum. But that's what they believe in. You stick with it, and then off of that, you can create plays. And so just a tough, gritty performance. And, I think what you guys talking about, like what Kenny Curlings mentioned last week, sometimes it's easy to take Caton for granted because he's been so good and so consistent every week. And sometimes you forget to talk about him because like you almost take it for granted. But some of those throws he made last night, outside of one deep shot that he missed, he was on the money. I mean, he hit his deep shots. And you know, he had some key runs in there, I thought, when he had to. So got to give him props too. I mean, just a great performance.
He had a fumble last night, and I haven't brought this up intentionally, and maybe I shouldn't with UTSA coming up, but I've already this far into it now. When's the last time he threw an interception?
Oh gosh, way to go, Kyle.
Caton?
Yeah.
3 games ago. I mean, he's
Yeah.
thrown a lot of passes since
He
his
threw
last
an
interception.
against
That's for
Temple.
sure.
I don't even remember if the
No, it was
He did against
BYU. BYU.
No.
Tulane. Did
No,
he throw
he
one
did.
against Tulane?
JR saying it was
I
3
think it
games
was-
ago. That would have been Temple.
Yeah. He was.
Okay.
Yeah, it was. He definitely threw one at Temple. But
It was the tip
I don't
ball,
remember it.
JR. It was the
since
tip ball
then,
down
yeah,
the seam. Yeah.
yeah, exactly, Matt, exactly.
Okay. All right. So only 3 games. Never mind. I just
Yeah,
forgot.
75 passes and 5 touchdowns
Still
later.
impressive.
So what, Stevie?
That's still impressive.
Yeah, I know, but it was
Yeah.
only 3 games ago. I guess maybe that game just didn't. We blew them out, so I just don't remember it.
And can I add something to that?
No.
Okay, so he threw one at Temple, but if you go to Tulsa and Tulane, he didn't throw any. So really, let's make it more factual. He's thrown 1 interceptions in the last 5 games. That makes
Yeah.
it sound better, and it is better, and that's the truth. I mean, that's the way it is.
Knock on wood on that one. Everybody knock on wood. Because
Way to go.
yeah, we don't need to. We need to keep that going. But you apparently we're too loud. But the I don't know if everybody else heard that, but we no, that got me off base here. But okay, UTSA.
Kyle's all discombobulated now, guys.
UTSA coming up this weekend. Guys, UTSA is 2 different football teams. They're Jekyll and Hyde. When they're on the road, you know, they didn't have an impressive performance against Charlotte this week at Charlotte. They're not a good road team, but they are dangerous in the dome. I really wish we had them in Greenville. If we had them in Greenville, even after this performance, I'd feel good about winning that game by 2 scores.
What's the
you
line,
know,
by the way? I was going to ask you all that.
The line is East Carolina 4.5, and that's to. And you can look at that line and go, "Wow, we should be a bigger favorite," but it's because of how good UTSA is in the dome. I really wish we got them in Greenville. This is a tough road game to play after this Memphis game. I'll be just as impressed if we win this one as I was with the Memphis. I won't be as excited, but I'll be just as impressed. This is a tough out to travel to San Antonio, Texas. That's a long way from Greenville to play in the dome when you're used to playing outside. So now you'll be playing indoors. They got a decent fan base. It'll be in a little bit of a decent atmosphere. And now we're hot. We're getting votes. By the way, that hadn't been mentioned. We're getting votes to the top 25. We're getting 3 votes in the coaches poll and 4 votes in the AP poll this week. This is going to be a tough game. I really wish we had them in Greenville. I hate that we're playing our last 2 on the road. I don't remember. I can't remember the last time. It had to be sometime in the 90s that we closed the season with back-to-back road games.
I agree, Kyle.
I hate it. And this is a tough road trip. I'm going to tell you how much I believe that playing in that game in the Dome versus Greenville. If this game was in Greenville, I think we would be an 8 to 9 point favorite, and we're only a 4.5 point favorite in San Antonio. So that's how much of a difference I think this makes. Do you guys agree with that? If this was in Greenville, we'd be an 8 to 9 point favorite.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely, Kyle.
Yeah, I do. I think like this is going to sound like a funny thing to say, but this week, your biggest opponent in some ways is yourself. And I'm going to tell you why, because you just had the emotional high, right?
Yes,
Think about
sir.
the emotional high that those players were on last night. all right, you have to now come back down to earth. All right, you have to put that behind you. You have to prepare yourself to go on the road into a very tough place to play, like you just mentioned, Kyle. So you have to find a way to get your head back in it. And that's going to be the biggest challenge, like for the coaching staff this week, is to make sure you're mentally prepared to play a game. Because to your point, if you're not mentally ready for UTSA, you're going to lose. And I think that's the key. I'll even take it a step further. If I was Blake, I would get the team down there a day early this week to get them out of Greenville. No more pats on the back. No more, because all week long when these guys are on campus, I just know how it is. Everybody's going to be telling great job, pat them on the back, and deservedly so. But get them out of town early. Get them completely locked in on UTSA, ready to play a game, and make sure you're mentally dialed in. That's going to be the key for this week, guys.
I'm going to challenge all our students. We challenged our students last week. I'm going to challenge them again this week. We're going to put it on social media. Barstool Sports guys that run it for ECU. Students, as you're patting your fellow students, these football players on the back, tell them great win Saturday, but it only matters if you beat UTSA. Otherwise, this win didn't mean anything, and that's the truth. I remember Logan used to say that great win against Miami. It doesn't matter if we go lose to Army next week. So
Well,
to achieve our goals and to win a conference championship, you got to keep winning, and you got to go beat UTSA next week. And I will say this, I'd rather it be somebody god awful like Charlotte, but with that said, UTSA will have 25 to 30,000 people in that dome, and it'll be loud in there. So I think that there's a bit of an atmosphere in there. I think that'll help our team be a little bit more focused. Do you guys agree with that?
Yeah, I was gonna say that, Kyle, is that I think this is the best possible thing that could happen for us. Is that I agree with you. I'd rather have it in Greenville. However, I do believe having that atmosphere, our guys are going to be jacked up. I think that we have not given enough, and I'm not talking about Blake Harrell, but I don't think we've given, I'm saying as a fan base, not us on the show as a whole, we have not given the position coaches enough credit, Matt and Stevie and everybody. I want y'all to comment, because I believe this is one of the best coached team as far as the position room by position room that we've had in a long, long time. Because you look at those players, a lot of those players are being coached up. And I was thinking about all the guys. We don't have do you guys remember, Stevie, you remember when Coach Tesh was talking about we didn't have, like, in other words, all these guys that everybody knew their names and everything on defensive line. But you look at it, the defensive line has played their lights out. They've been playing great. The defense has played great. We don't have the star players. More of the offensive guys maybe than defensive guys. And, hey, look what they've done.
defense has been coached up so well.
Yeah.
What are you talking about? Coaches don't do anything. I mean, we don't do anything. I mean, we just step out there. We just step out there on the field on Friday night and Saturday night.
Gear, right?
Yeah, we're just there. We're just there for eye candy. No, seriously, I'll joke aside. Yeah, I agree, Dave. The coaching staff has done a great job this year. Especially, and I've said it for the last 3 or 4 weeks. We go back and listen to us in the offseason, and all of us are talking about the defense. How far we go depends on this defense, because that's our main concern. And the defense is just, from day one, except for a few possessions against NC State, we've been stellar. I mean, you look at the rankings, we're in the top, JR, you correct me if I'm wrong, we're in the top 15 in just about every defensive stat in the nation right now, aren't we?
Well, I think the most impressive one is we're number 4 in red zone success. People are only scoring 70% of the time, and 70 sounds like a big number, but it's the 4th best in the country, because once you're inside the 25, normally you're going to get at least 3. But not only are we number 4, but we're number 2 in red zone touchdowns allowed. And that's the key thing. If you're going to give up points in the red zone, give up a field goal. Don't give up a touchdown. The only team that's better than we are in the red zone giving up touchdowns is a team that's pretty good called Ohio State. I don't like them, but they are the best team in the country right now.
No question about it, guys. As far as UTSA, we a win in Florida said that UTSA announced 16,000 for Tulane back on October 30th. So they're definitely going to have a crowd because of that. Matt, I wanted to ask you, because you played in domes versus outdoors, how much of a difference? I mean, it was god awful. I know when you guys were playing down there in Tulane, and you may have like 6,000 or 8,000 people in a dome, but how much difference does it make as far as indoors, outdoors, and also the number of people indoors or outdoors? How much of a difference does that make when you're playing the football game?
God, I hated playing in domes. I really did. I'll be honest. I hated it. And I think you do have to get acclimated to it to a certain point. And it does get a little bit louder in a dome, like fewer people. Obviously, that sound doesn't carry out of the stadium. But at the end of the day, you have to execute. And that, but I tell you, like going back to my previous point, I do think we should get down there a day early and just get a few workouts in that dome, just to get prepared for it.
Get acclimated.
Exactly, no doubt.
Guys, I did want to mention we had I think it was Brandon.
Hey Dave, I don't mean to cut you off, but could you put Norm Fierce comment up there?
Yep.
Who are you speaking of? You speaking of me? No, I'm just a very energetic, entertaining motherfucker. And if you don't like it, don't watch. If anybody thinks I'm cutting them off, please, Stevie, Matt, JR, Dave, feel free to tell me, because I'm assuming you're talking about me. And if you got a problem with me, address it with me one-on-one. And if it ain't me, if it's somebody else, address it with them. That's all I got to say about that.
All right. Let's see. I have a glitch says that's what worries about Florida Atlantic. We need them to use the UConn this week so they're not fighting eligibility the last game of the season. I guess it means to beat UConn. Or you're saying lose to UConn, so it doesn't matter. Oh, okay, I see what you mean. If they have four
for Florida Atlantic, yes. So he's saying if they lose to UConn, they won't be fighting for bowl eligibility against the Pirates. Yeah, so I don't know that I agree with that. Sometimes I think when you got a young football team like Florida Atlantic does, you fold under pressure. UConn's pretty good, so Florida Atlantic will probably lose to them anyway. But even if they don't, I don't know. Florida Atlantic being in a pressure situation against us might be what we want them in.
And I feel like you guys, I'm more concerned about UTSA than Florida Atlantic. I think UTSA is a much better football team than Florida Atlantic. I agree with you, Kyle. I think they have talent, but they're just young. And UTSA, I think, between the two games, which one would you think that we would lose, like prediction wise? I would say UTSA over Florida Atlantic, but I mean, you have to still play the games.
Yeah,
I mean, you have to. Oh, go ahead, JR. Sorry.
No, I'm sorry, Matt. I'll make it quick. Point spread wise, it's definitely going to be, UTSA is going to be a lower number than FAU, but FAU, I know everybody on this show agrees with me on this. They're scary, and they're going to put it together one game. Like, they're getting a little better each game. They have a great offensive system. The players are learning where, what they're supposed to do, where they're supposed to be. Their offensive numbers are increasing each game. Their defense leaves a little to be desired, but it's getting better too. They're at home. They're capable of scoring a lot of points. I don't feel great about that game. I mean, I'm hopeful, but I don't feel like I'm not putting it in the win column.
No, definitely not.
They throw the ball a lot. It's a pass first offense. Our weakness on defense is the pass. Of the two, I feel better about that one than I do UTSA. I tell you what I don't want. I don't want to end the season 7-5. That'd be a damn shame if last night, after what all happened, if we were to lose these 6-2. But you want to at least win one of them. You want to win them both and go 9-3. But you at least want to get 8-4. 7-5 has been our standard, not counting bowl games. We hit 2 8-win seasons last year in 22 after bowls, but regular season 7-5 has been our ceiling, and so we need to pass that this year. That's something else that I would tell this football team as we hit into UTSA is we haven't won 8 games in the regular season since 2014. A 7-win regular season has been our ceiling, and You can go ahead and bust through that ceiling this week, and then after that, it's all gravy.
Yeah, you know what, guys? You're going to find out exactly, what you have and what you are as a football team because, look, great football teams will find a way to finish these next two games, and they're never easy, right? This is what I love about college football. It's not always, every week you have to be completely ready to play, physically, mentally, game plan, everything. You have to be ready to play. Take a look at South Carolina yesterday. They have been horrific all season. All right, they go down to Texas A&M, number 3 in the country, and they're up. I think it was 30-3 at halftime.
Yeah, 30-3.
30-3. Now, Texas A&M, my guess is that they weren't prepared to play, emotionally, mentally. South Carolina was ready to play football. They jumped on them. And then Texas A&M, right? They come back and find a way to win that game, right? Look at UAB. I mean, UAB beat Memphis earlier in the season. To me, that's one of the more shocking games of the entire year. So the point I'm making is you just have to be ready every week. It doesn't matter who you play. And that's just the end of it. You got to go 1 week at a time, one game at a time, one practice at a time. That's coach speak. I know it's nauseating when I say that, but it is so true, man. You got to go one practice at a time.
No doubt, guys. And that's the one thing that Coach talked about in the press conference. This is one thing I want to get to you guys before we get out of here. By the way, first of all, I want to address this too, guys. This crowd tonight is the biggest crowd we've ever had on a playback.
As far as live goes.
Yeah, live so far. And so I just want to thank, and also I want to welcome in everybody that I finally did it, guys. We are now on X. So we are live on, Twitter now as well. So we have Facebook, we have YouTube, we have LinkedIn, we have X and Instagram. So no excuse for anyone not to watch, but
Are we live on X now?
yes, tonight.
Okay, I shared the YouTube link up there. I finally remembered to share the YouTube link tonight before the show on X, and we actually have a live feed on X. You didn't tell me that.
Well, I know. I just realized that I want to make sure I told everybody that. So sorry about that. But yeah, we're on X now live, and we'll be there every show from now on. So
For everybody listening tonight, if you could hit the like button, that helps with the algorithm drawing more attention to this podcast. We appreciate that. And pull in a friend or two. For all the new people listening tonight, try to pull in a friend or two. This is a show where we're not affiliated with East Carolina in any way, so we can be brutally honest to a fault sometimes, and we just kind of tell it like it is. And so we appreciate everybody tuning in.
Like and subscribe.
That's right. And, Matt, to add what you're saying, we're not anti-ECU. We're not these people that are going to get up here. There's some people that just complain, and I'm not throwing this in specifically to our fellow members of the media or fans, but, there's some fan bases that I can think of some that are very close to us, if you know what I mean, down the road. They complain just to complain. But anyway, I'm really proud of our show, and I want to thank it's about the fans and Pirate Nation. You guys, I know Matt, pregame, you were talking about our show, about how you met a lot of people that came up to you, and I thought that was really cool.
Guys, I met so many people last night in the tailgate and also in the stadium. Several people who are listening tonight. I actually met Will Landon. Will, if you're still listening, it's great to meet you. A lot of people listen, a lot of people tune in, and we appreciate that. So that was really cool. And one thing I want to say, guys, is like I mentioned earlier. Obviously, I don't get to go too often to games, but I was really impressed with the experience in the stadium last night. I thought the field looked tremendous. The fireworks were great. Love how the team comes out with the fire and the smoke. We've been at times hard on and critical of things, but I enjoyed the hell out of it last night. So, credit to the administration. I think they've tried a lot of different things this year with the fireworks and trying fan engagement. Last night you had sup dogs doing something to keep the students there, the giveaway. That's just all good stuff. You had, we've been critical of the ticket prices, right? You had $10 tickets and 25 for lower bowl. It's not going to get any better than that, really, in the United States. I go to a Knicks game and it's $400 for the worst ticket in the house. So that's a really good job. I think you got to give credit where credit's due.
No, and also, by the way, I want to mention again the atmosphere that's been created on the pregame atmosphere where they have the band. Yesterday, they had the Embers playing, and that was awesome. They have the premium tailgate.
Well, they had Steve Logan as a guest singer.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, he sang Mustang Sally. And it sounded all right. I won't say Steve is in danger of having a record deal, but he could carry a tune in a bucket.
Yeah, and hey, that kind of stuff is exactly what we need. Everything was great. Guys, I did want to mention, Johnny, if you can help me out with this, and maybe you guys know, and I know Coach don't want to talk about it, but we've had people ask me off the air today and the last week or so, but what are the scenarios now with the help that we need to make the conference championship? For me, I'll make a point after that, but I just wanted to ask if anybody can help me on that.
Well, I mean, right now, first of all,
we have to have Tulane to lose.
Huh?
We have to have Tulane to lose, obviously, right?
Yeah, we need Tulane and North Texas. We need them both to lose, and we need Memphis to beat Navy. So we need Memphis to beat Navy. We need Tulane and North Texas to both lose. But I could save this for next show, I guess. But I have a gripe about scheduling. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you schedule better opponents, because North Texas, they're getting votes, in the coaches poll. They're in the top 25 because they've had one loss and we have 3. But out of conference, they've got Western Michigan, Lamar, Washington State, and South Alabama. We have Campbell, Coastal, NC State, and BYU. So, I mean, Coastal and Lamar, you can cross each other off.
Campbell and Lamar.
Campbell and Lamar cross each other off. And then the other 3 games, the teams we play are much better than the teams they play. And the 2 that we lost to, North Carolina State on the road and BYU at home, BYU is 17. I mean, the best out-of-conference team they played was Washington State at 69. And they only played 1 on the road, and that was against Western Michigan, who's 97th, and it took them overtime to beat them 33-30. So, that just shows me that having a good schedule really doesn't pay dividends if you don't win. So I'm really changing my opinion on scheduling in the future. Let's schedule some crappy teams and beat them and go 11-1.
Well, I got good news for you, JR. That's the strategy.
Yeah. That's what's coming.
Well,
good point.
Yeah, don't give me JR. I agree with you 1,000. I know what you're saying 1,000%. You guys know how I feel about that. Also, I saw an article. It's outdated now from a couple days ago from Sports Illustrated that East Carolina has, I think it said, a 0.6% chance, not even.
Yeah, I would imagine that. Another article you're talking about, I would imagine we're probably up to a 1.5% chance. It's still possible for us to make the playoffs. Now, we would obviously have to make the conference championship game, win these next 2, have Tulane lose 1, end up in the conference championship game, win the conference championship game, and then we're going to need JMU to lose 1. And if those things happen, we would stand a really good shot at making the playoff.
That's crazy.
There's a path. Now, it's not our own. It's not. We're not in control of it ourselves. But the biggest thing we have to do is take care of our own business, because if we don't take care of our own business, it doesn't matter if none of the others, if the rest of the stuff happens. But there's a path there. As crazy as it sounds.
Well, Kyle, it better happen this weekend in Harrisonburg, Virginia, because they're playing Washington State at home. Washington State is, they're you never know what you're getting with them. But if they show up, they might be able to pull that out. Then JMU goes to Coastal. But really, the Sun Belt, their conference is not good. It's not even remotely
It's not good this year. It's not. No. And Southern Miss is good. They were without their
No,
starting
no,
quarterback.
no. I'm gonna argue with you on that one because Southern Miss was 5-0 in the Sun Belt, and they're in the South, and I guess JMU's in the North. So West and East, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Southern Miss played Texas State, who normally
Southern Miss didn't have their starting quarterback.
is very good, but they lost 41-14. You can't. I mean,
they didn't have their quarterback there.
That was at home. So this is Division I football. You better have a backup. I mean, if your plan is if our number one gets hurt, we can't compete. That's not a good team.
Their number one was starting quarterback at Marshall last year that won the Sun Belt, and he wasn't. He got hurt, and they were playing a pretty good.
Yeah, I know. Wells brought him with him, and he's a good quarterback. Yeah, I know. Charles, not Wells. Charles. I always get his last name mixed up. Anyhow, he brought him with him, but still, you got to have a competent number two. If you don't, I mean, I'm not going to give them a hall pass for losing by 27 points at home against an 0-5 Texas State team. What I'm saying is, I just don't see where it's either going to be them, Troy, or maybe Arkansas State in the championship game with JMU. So I think that's going to be an automatic win for JMU. So I think that they have to lose one of their next two this weekend against Washington State or on the road at Coastal.
Yeah, my point was if Southern Miss gets their quarterback healthy for the conference.
You're a Southern Miss guy, though, Kyle. You love them.
Yeah, I do love Southern Miss, but I legitimately think their quarterback is that good. I think he's that much of a difference maker. I think if they have him for that JMU game, and also he's won a conference championship before. There's something to be said for being in that situation and that pressure before. So I think if he is back for that JMU game, if they don't drop one to Washington State or to Coastal before then, I do think if it's Southern in the conference championship game and they have their quarterback back, I'll put it this way: if they don't have him back before then, they're not going to make the conference championship game, so it will be a moot point because they're not going to win without him.
Yeah. Hey, Kyle, this is another example of if they win the conference championship game, they'll be 12-1. This is another example of
only Louisville.
Who did they play? Louisville, yeah. But other than that, I mean, they didn't win. Who did they beat? I just don't. It's another scheduling thing. But with JMU, it's not really. They did their best. I mean, they're in a crappy conference. They can't help that. They did schedule Washington State. They didn't know how Washington State was going to be this year. So, I mean, I'm honestly not attacking JMU. It's just that overall, their schedule is not impressive to me. But they're going to get the nod for sure.
Hey, fellas, talking about schedules, you look at our schedule this year, right? You look at the BYU loss, all right? BYU has turned out to be, the second best team. Texas Tech is the best team in the Big 12, right?
Yep.
But BYU is right there. And then how much would you guys love to have another shot at NC State this year? Because they have tanked.
Oh, gosh.
I'd rather have another shot at Tulane.
Or Tulane, exactly. I mean, you really feel right now like we have peaked at the right time. And this is 2 years in a row where we've kind of peaked at the right time.
November.
Hold on, Dave. I wanted to put a disclaimer to Matt. I would like another shot at Tulane with a different referee crew. There you go. How about that?
We might get another shot at Tulane in the conference championship. If North Texas and Navy both lose, it'll be the Pirates and the Green Wave for the conference championship.
And we got to go back out there again. Revenge, baby.
Would love it because I tell you, I think we're a different football team. And, you see right now the teams that are separating from a positive perspective, and then you see the teams that are just done, right? And like NC State is done. Like they are a bad football team right now, and they're getting worse. And so it's just interesting. You just looking at our schedule, we could easily have two more wins very easily. I'll give BYU that win. They were the better team that night. They beat us. Yeah. Definitely feel like we could have had the NC State and Tulane game, to your point, JR.
We spotted them, the state game, we spotted them 17 points. I mean, and then after that, we started playing well. That first quarter, if you have that first quarterback, then that would definitely be great.
But to JR's point, the Tulane game is when you really want back, because if we had that game back, none of this discussion is important. We're just rolling. We're alone for the conference, and we can lose one of these next two and still go to the conference championship game.
Yeah.
So if you have the Tulane game back, it's a completely different scenario.
Yeah. Hey, here's an interesting stat. I think we've not given up more than 27 points to any team this season. I'm still going back. I've gone all the way back as far as I can go with what I have. But I'm gonna try to go back further and find the last time that the season's not over. But we did give up 34 to BYU, but that one of them was a defensive touchdown. So I'm taking that off the record. And so our defense has not given up more than 27 points in any game this season. And I don't know how many teams in the country can say that. Not
Do
many.
do we give up a special teams touchdown in that game too, or am I remembering wrong?
Against BYU?
Yeah.
BYU? No, I don't. No, we didn't. We didn't
Okay.
go that special.
We gave up.
Okay.
We just gave up that out route before halftime that was pick six.
Okay.
Yeah.
I couldn't remember. Yeah.
Yeah, that was if you take that decision away from Hauser, that Hauser decision, that game is a completely different game. But the good news is he learned a lot, and I give him credit. I'll never forget that press conference, guys. He put that loss on him, and I know he's only one player, but I like somebody that takes accountability and that puts it, the responsibility on their shoulders like he did. He didn't blame the offensive line for not blocking or blah blah blah. And so I give the kid credit. He definitely earned my respect even more that night.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And guys, you look at the biggest difference of where we are now and why the season has turned around for us. Look, early in the season, we couldn't run the football to save our lives. We really struggled to run the football early. NC State we just weren't ready for that game at that point in the season. And, our ability, and this is 2 years in a row where I feel like our offensive line coach, Matt Maddox, has been able to sort of bring that line together and get them playing really good football together with a lot of new faces. And we're now running the football effectively. And that's been the biggest difference between the team we're seeing now and the first half of the season.
Yeah, I tell you what, to your point, Matt, the offensive line last year under Coach Maddox improved as the year went, and this year has improved as the year went. He coaches guys up and gets them better, and he ain't afraid to change out guys in the offensive line and find the right group of guys to play. He's an incredible coach. I hope that's another guy we really need to hang on to.
Yeah, no doubt about it. For sure.
No
Hey,
doubt.
Dave, I didn't have a chance because it just got out of, it just too much time passed. But I did want to say I agree with you 100% on the assistants being a key part. That was a great point by you. I feel the same way. The coaches we have at each position are doing their job very well. So
You and I were
shout out to you.
Thank you, Johnny. You and I were talking about, I think it was because there were so many, and Kyle, you remember at Media Day, how many assistant coaches, and it's so many assistant coaches, and you started looking at the talent and you said, man, the offense, oh my gosh, we got all this and we were worried about the defense. But I think I'll say this is the way I wanted to add to what I was saying earlier. I believe the difference why we're getting more results is because Blake Harrell is letting the coaches coach. In other words, I think Mike Houston will, and I'm trying not to talk about Mike Houston all the time, but Mike Houston wouldn't let the coaches be coaches. He was so
Micromanager.
Yeah, thank you, Kyle. He was a micromanager, and I think that's why you're seeing the results that you're seeing now is that he's letting the coaches coach, and that shows the trust he has in these guys, not only the coaches but the players too.
Yeah. Hey, I'm sorry, Kyle. This is my last comment. But you brought up Blake again, so you're going to force me to throw out another Blake stat.
Go ahead.
If we beat UTSA, it'll be the 5th conference win in a row. Okay, so we've only won 4 consecutive American Conference games 3 times. Once in 2021 when we beat USF, Temple, Memphis, and Navy, and then last year Tulsa, Temple, Charlotte, and Memphis all under Blake. And then this year, Temple, FAU, Tulsa, North Texas, all under Blake. So Blake, it's only happened 3 times in the history of the American Conference in East Carolina that we've won 4 conference games in a row, and he's done it twice. And he can be the first to win 5 in a row if we can knock off Texas, San Antonio.
And Matt, I was going to ask you, being a former player, about the importance of having goals still ahead of you. Like I was telling you guys, if you look at this program under Scotty Moe, we were preaching hope, just to get to a bowl game. And Mike Houston did it too under 23. But you look at and Johnny, here's another stat for you. What is it? The last 4 out of 5 years, we've won at least 7 ball games. Like in the regular season, the 23 season obviously was 2-10. But you look at this team, we were selling hope. Oh man, one day we're going to get to a bowl game again. And then under Houston, we get to the bowl game, we win that. We're now, like Kyle, you made a great point about, let's stop looking at 7-5 being this fantastic season. When you're only winning 2 ball games, it looks 7 looks great.
7-5 at this point would be hugely disappointing.
Exactly. So good. And you were talking about, Matt, about being, good teams find a way to win. Let's look at this next 2 games. And Matt, my question is, how important is it to still have all these goals, things that we haven't done before, like Johnny's bringing up, and conference championships, outside chance of making the playoff? How huge is that?
It's huge. And, and that's the thing, that would be my message this week to the team if I was Blake, that look, as great of a win this was, right? Tremendous job. Like I tell the players, tremendous job, right? But we have not accomplished any of our goals yet. All right. The goal at the end of the day is to make the conference championship and win it, right? It's a slim chance, but it's still a chance that we can make it there. You have to win the next 2. In my opinion, guys, if you lose one of these next 2, it kind of erases everything you just did last night. You have to win the next 2. Take care of your own business and give yourself a chance, and see what happens. But yeah, the goal, if the goal is to truly win the conference, you got to find a way to get back down to earth quickly in the next 24 hours and have a good week of practice.
I won't say if we lose one of the next 2, it erases. I think if we lose both the next 2, it erases everything. Because if you win one of the next 2, you're still 8-4, which is something we haven't achieved in the regular season in a long time. But it certainly takes away a lot from what you've achieved as of last night. Because right now, you have a chance to have a special season. You have a chance to win 9 in the regular season. You have a chance with postseason play to get the double-digit wins for the 3rd time in Pirate history in the modern era. And you have a chance to finish in the top 25, which is something that is a very achievable goal. And you can tell you the last time, we've been ranked in the top 25 plenty times since then. But the last time we finished in the top 25, we finished number 23 in the USA Today Coaches Poll in 1995 when Matt Semenza was here after the Liberty Bowl. That is the last time East Carolina ended a season in the top 25. That's still achievable this year. That's very achievable.
Yeah, that's a great
30
point.
years. 30
Unbelievable,
years.
right? It's unbelievable to when you break it down like that, to think it's been 30 years. My God. But yeah. So look, everything's still in front of this team. And, again, you just got to take when you get caught up about worrying about, all right, can Navy beat this team, or, will Tulane lose? You get caught up in that. You got to just focus on taking care of your own business and winning the next game.
Yep.
Man, I sound like a coach tonight. I know it's a lot of coach speak.
Well, none of it matters, Matt. If we don't win these next 2, none of that other stuff matters.
Well, exactly. So Stevie, just tell me, man. Say you sound like a coach tonight. So I apologize for the coach speak, but it's true, man. This is all true. So what do you think?
There's nothing wrong with that, Matt. You probably be a good coach.
I don't think I'd have the patience, man. I would have been going after the ref last night on the field.
Hey, by the way, Blake Harrell said last night at the press conference, I forgot to tell you this, guys, earlier, and I apologize. It just dawned on me. We were talking about coaching, and we're talking about the officials. He said, I heard him say it, this is the most he's ever talked to the officials. How about that? And all the time. And that was the 16th game that he's been our head coach, whether it be interim or the actual head coach. He's never talked to the officials more than last night. I'm glad you said something, Matt, because I was getting ready to forget that, to mention that on air.
Yeah,
well,
it's funny. Go ahead, Matt.
No, it's all you, Stevie. Go ahead.
Yeah, it's funny, in 18 years of coaching, there was only a handful of games where I felt like I had to talk a lot to a referee. So for him this long, yeah, that's saying something. But yeah, and it goes through phases. Sometimes you can have really good referees. There's a one that I saw when I saw him arrive at the game. I was like, okay, we're gonna get a good game tonight, and I hope he's on my sideline. Then there was others that I would like cringe when I saw these guys. There was an older guy that, if Justin Butts was ever come to the game, I'm like, holy crap, we're in for it tonight. Jeez, I'll get kicked out of this game. But where they gave a team 6 timeouts in one half.
Oh my God! Are you
What?
Yeah.
6
Yes.
in one half?
Yes. No, because the guy. Well, actually, it was 5 because.
Did you? I mean, I would punch a referee in the mouth.
Well, the head referee was an older guy, and the guy that I talked about when I saw him, I knew I was going to get a fair shot. I was going to get a good game. Was on my sidelines, so we score with like a minute and a half left in the game to take the lead, and then I get this huge cojones, and I kick an onside kick, and we get it. And I'm like, okay, how many timeouts does he have left? And he's got 1 timeout left, is what I was told. So I said, we're going to kneel the ball. We kneel, timeout. Okay, so that's it. Kneel again. All of a sudden, I hear timeout, and I questioned it with the head ref, and he was like, "Oh well, he's got this," and the guy on my side, I was like, "No, he don't." So to really get on his nerves, this really ticked me off. To add to it, on our 4th down play, we ran the ball, and but he stopped the play. He stopped the game before that play, and went and talked to the other team's coach, talked to 2 of his referees. Now, if you talk to another coach, you're automatically supposed to talk to the other coach.
Correct.
He never came over there and talked to me, so I walked out on the field. And I asked him what the heck was going on. What was he talking to him about? And his response was, I was just telling everybody that if you don't get it, it's 4th down. If you don't get the first down, it's their ball. And I said, it took all 3 of you to figure this out. And I just walked off waiting for a flag to fly. But he didn't. I don't know if he had the gumption to do it. But, yeah, we ended up hanging on and winning that game. But, yeah,
You
5
mean
timeouts.
to tell me you got people coaching high school football that have to be told that if somebody doesn't convert a 4th down, it's their ball?
I think it was just him trying to be a smart ass is what it was. Because every time I saw him after that, I was like, we ain't going to have no more 5 timeout halves. He just kind of laughed and shook his head. So
I think.
I think go ahead.
I'm wondering, Stevie, to add to what you're saying, I'm wondering how much of it is that he screwed up on something and he's trying to figure it. Sometimes I've seen officials screw up and then they try to figure out how to justify their. Just admit you're wrong. I'd much rather say I blew that call than to try to justify.
Oh no.
Oh my God.
How are refs evaluated or reviewed?
That's the question for Justin Butts.
I think he means at the college level.
That's
there we go.
The NCAA sends out review videos every week. I'll look to see what and if they have anything. So yeah.
Okay, but as a rule, I'm assuming the conference evaluates them.
Yeah, so you
and
have,
I don't know how they're selected. I don't know.
We send.
Justin Butts said we all cheat on the exam.
What they do is they have like all the sports. If you have egregious calls, then between the athletic director and head coach, they send in plays every week. That I know for basketball, football, and baseball. I don't know about the other sports, but the 3 they'll send it into the conference, and then the conference has like a head official, and that official looks at it and they evaluate them from that, because there's sometimes when you wonder why those guys aren't officiating anymore. It's because of the feedback they get from the coaches, the athletic directors, the schools. So, but yeah, in fact, Justin put it set up there. The conference does, and sometimes, Justin, don't we have enough? At one time, we shared refs with.
We shared. You're thinking about the old Conference USA days. We shared refs with the Big 12.
No, I know, but we also do now with the. Don't we do with the ACC?
I'm not sure. Seems like I remember hearing something about that. Now that you say it,
With another conference, it may not be the ACC, but anyway, the supervisor also reviews films. The crew gets a review on Thursdays, he said, and that he said that is correct about the ACC. But anyway, I would like to see, like Johnny's point, when we were talking about the having the officials, and Kyle, when y'all were talking about the ACC, speaking of which, and you were talking about having the discussion be on live where you can hear it. I think that's great. I really like you talked about the transparency. So not to repeat ourselves, do you guys have anything else that you wanted to talk about between now and then?
we've been going 2 hours. I'm about ready to wrap it up myself. It was a great night in Dowdy Fickle Stadium. One I'll never forget. One we needed desperately, and for a new generation of students and young fans, this creates people will want to come back. You're going to get FOMO, fear of missing out. I wish I was there, which is something we hadn't had in a long time. Despite winning a lot of games in Greenville this year, that was, that's not our fault. We've been pulling people out, but that kind of environment, that kind of atmosphere, it only builds good things. And glad to experience that last night, and glad a lot of young Pirates, those students, got to experience that, because people don't realize how important that is for building a program. Those 20, 30 years from now, those students that had those shirts off last night, those are the people that we're going to be relying on to continue to invest money into this football program.
Yeah. So Justin said, yes, we have. We talked about that, Justin, at UTSA. We talked about that a good deal. So we'll have the preview, by the way, on Wednesday night at 8:30. So don't forget that. And I know, Kyle, you and Matt talk about it all the time, but make sure that you subscribe to our YouTube channel. We have our Facebook page. We have TikTok, Instagram, X. So you can follow us pretty much on every social media platform. So make sure that you do that. Lots of cool stuff to come and late for this year, and definitely next year for the show. Thank you so much. The biggest crowd we've ever had live on Pirate Football. Oh, he said he was going to be down there. Okay. Justin's going to be covering the team for us, he says, down there helping us out, UTSA, and definitely for FAU. So appreciate that, Justin, very much. All right, Stevie, Johnny, Matt, you'll have anything else?
I'm good.
John, how about you, Johnny?
Well, not really. I'll just say that I hope people realize that was a really, really good Memphis team that we just beat. I mean, Lewis might have been a little hobbled, but I mean, that's the kind of win that we need to give us some momentum to, continue the quest to do what we want to do. And that's, win the American. And I also want to say that I think the American is well on its way to establishing itself as the premier whatever you want to call it. Yeah.
Group of six.
Yeah. They're well on their way. I know next year we're going to have a lot of movement with the Mountain West and the Pac-12.
Pac-12. I like calling it the WAC-12.
That's a great. That's awesome. That says it all, Kyle. Anyhow, I think we're well on our way, and so I'm just very happy with what happened on Saturday night.
Yeah, thanks. So we had a lot of people commenting. Thank you all. You guys are awesome for doing that. All right, for watching, and we've got a lot of people that made a lot of comments tonight, so we appreciate you guys very much. All right, anybody else? Well, if not, we again show Wednesday night, and we'll have a guest or two to be named later, but we appreciate you so much. And it's been the Pirate Football Playback. Again, Pirates getting a big win last night in Dowdy Fickle Stadium, 31-27 over Memphis. Hope you guys have a great week, and we'll see you on Wednesday night. And as always, go Pirates.
You're watching The Sports Objective, the podcast for Pirates.